I don't own any stocks. I mean, I own 2 stocks. Out of $1.7 billion in net worth, I own 2 stocks, like less than, I don't know, 2 or 3 million bucks. I own a bunch of Bitcoin and I own a shitload of real estate.
Why is billionaire real estate mogul Grant Cardone going all in on Bitcoin and real estate?
My goal is to be a $100 billion real estate portfolio and be the largest real estate Bitcoin fund on the planet. And literally start a new industry around real estate and Bitcoin investing. And who knows, maybe in the future that'll include ETH. And
in this interview, things get real as we ask him about everything crypto, including Ethereum.
This is what I wanted to ask you about. Ultimately, my question is, and I'm going to preface this a little bit, but ultimately my question is, what do you think about Ethereum?
In this interview, Grant shares his biggest fears investing in Bitcoin, what keeps him up at night.
That's going to be the biggest implosion. It is my biggest concern for Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price short term.
He shares his future outlook and Bitcoin price predictions.
And by the way, because I know the audience is going to be spamming this in the comment section, what is your Bitcoin price prediction?
Oh, you want a price prediction?
Well, why not? You're an investor, right?
We dive deep into billionaire mindset in this video.
You want to give me $1 billion in Bitcoin right now? I have 5 seconds to make a decision. $1 billion of Bitcoin or $1 billion of real estate. I'll take the Bitcoin right now. Why? I don't have to do a title. I don't have to do an appraisal. I don't have to do a survey. I don't have to go through the banks. I don't have to get a loan. It doesn't come with termites, tenants, evictions, the government, taxes, bullshit. Yeah, I'd take the Bitcoin in a heartbeat.
And that's the billionaire mindset. That's the billionaire mindset.
This is a cool thing that you do. There should be more shows just like this, where you put people in a situation where they have to make a decision.
If you appreciate us bringing on and interviewing big names, smash the like button. And if you're interested in making money in crypto, subscribe to Altcoin Daily and watch daily. The Grant Cardone Altcoin Daily interview starts now.
Grant Cardone, you are a billionaire and you understand the billionaire mindset. So I have a question for you because I want to understand the billionaire mindset. Are other billionaires interested in Bitcoin like you, or help us understand how billionaires think about Bitcoin?
Well, hey, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. And look, I have been always interested in money. Like ever since I was a kid, I was 8 years old, and I remember my dad had a friend over, Dr. Kerr, and Dr. Kerr said, "Hey, lend me $1," because I was playing with some money. He's like, lend me that $1. And I'm like, I held on to it like it was mine, at 8 years old, the reaction of a kid. And my dad said to me, he's like, never deny a person in power. And that stuck with me forever. So your conversation about billionaires, most people that have achieved that kind of financial stacking over long periods of time, I think the first thing to understand about them is they worked really hard to do that, unless they were given it, which I've never met that situation. I certainly didn't have it. I started with nothing and didn't have any connections, didn't have money, didn't have credit, didn't have the education to understand how to accumulate that much wealth. Some of what my experience has been, Aaron, has frankly been driven out of fear. Like, literally, I'm like in fear most of the time. I got involved in real estate investing because I never believed in the dollar. And so I learned in the beginning how to get money. I got money. I didn't know what to do with it. I was 38 years old. My uncle said, now that you know how to get money, you need to learn how to get money to work for you. I started buying real estate at scale, converting the money rather than having it at the bank earning 10%. I'm like, I need this money earning 20 or 25% a year. This is many, many years before I was introduced to Bitcoin. I was 31 years old when I bought my first major piece of real estate. At 38, I had really turned it up and started cranking on it. And I was literally just converting cash that I earned from my business and my talent, fiat. I was turning that into, without really knowing why, I felt like I was improving the value of the money by going from $100 bill or 1,000 units or $10,000. I was converting 10,000 that someone gave me in my consulting company. I took their 10,000, other people's money. I converted it to real estate because one, it gave me a tax write-off. It reduced my tax bill. Two, it got rid of my money. And I like not having money. A lot of people want to have money. I don't really want to have money. I want to have money come in, and then I want to take it and buy an asset. I don't want the cash. So in my mid-30s, I was very interested in accumulating assets. It would not be until I was, I'm 67, 13. So I was 54 years old when I was introduced to Bitcoin for the first time. I was given Bitcoin. Somebody gave me this thing called Bitcoin, 115 Bitcoin in exchange for a speaking gig. It was worth like 60 grand at the time. I flew to Las Vegas. I was already going to be in Vegas anyway, and I went down the street. I was staying at the Wynn Hotel. I had 2 other gigs in town. They said, "Hey, could you come down here? We'll pay you 60 grand to walk down here and talk to our people for 45 minutes, but we don't have cash. We can only pay you in Bitcoin." I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's not your fault. That's my fault. You just got to show me what to do with it. And I need to know how to convert it to cash, because I wanted to convert the Bitcoin into cash. And then I was going to go buy some real estate with it. And I literally converted it into the Bitcoin. They gave it to me in Bitcoin. We deposited it. They showed me the wallet set up, blah, blah, blah. And I forgot to convert it to cash. Okay. So I still have that Bitcoin today, thank God, $15 million later. And that was my introduction. And so do all billionaires, your question, there's a long way around the neighborhood to answer your question. No, look, most billionaires are not looking at Bitcoin today because they already have a business that's working. They already have investments that are working. And it's because most people, forget what financial status they have, are not going to, they're not going to read the Bitcoin standard. Okay. They're not going to read the white paper. They're not going to watch 100 hours of anything. Bro, they're going to be on a yacht. Okay, they're making their business work with legacy decisions, not Bitcoin decisions. They don't want to be in a room where people are talking about the U.S. dollar is going to be destroyed, the world's coming to an end, Bitcoin is going to solve every problem. These people understand, for somebody to put together $1 billion and have it on their financial statement, $1 billion, they had to earn somewhere between $3 billion and $12 billion to keep 1 billion. And they had to do that over a long period of time, meaning they had to earn it and keep it over long, long periods of time. Winning a lottery ticket for $1 billion, that's one thing. Keeping it after taxes, mistakes, divorces, lawsuits, competition, keeping $1 billion is an unbelievable task. So for someone to do that, and then you're going to tell them that everything they're doing is screwed up, they're going to be like, man, you're crazy, bro. You're a nutcase. Okay. Bitcoin is not going to replace every asset class in the world. It's not real to anybody except the Bitcoiners who believe, like my brother, he believes Bitcoin is going to suck the life out of every other asset, which, by the way, it is going to suck some life. But gold's still going to be there. Silver's still going to be there. The stock market will still be there. Treasuries will still be there. So when my brother says that, he does not mean that literally. He means it's going to go from a $2 trillion asset to probably a $20 trillion or $50 trillion asset class, which I believe.
Interesting story how you started with Bitcoin and now you're here today going into it bigger than ever. And interesting, you said that, a lot of billionaires, they just don't necessarily care about Bitcoin because they don't need to care. They're not going to read the white paper or the Bitcoin standard. But somebody they certainly follow and, listen to what you say is you, Grant. So I don't want the whole, white paper, but just a sentence or two. Billionaires should care about Bitcoin because.
Well, I wouldn't even approach it like, I wouldn't go to them and say you should pay attention to it because the billionaires can be like, okay, dude, here, go buy 15 pieces for me, go buy 20 pieces, whatever. Like, they're not going to even see it on their financial statement. Like, if you've ever been around these people, I was fortunate enough about 12 years ago when I really started ramping up. I spent some time with the guy. At that time, he was worth $4 billion. And I went and picked him up, and I wanted to spend time with him. So I altered my calendar, spent the next 90 days with him to alter my entire schedule, picked him up, and traveled around with him around the world. Not around the complete world, but in a number of different trips. And after about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days of hanging out with him, he's like, dude, what do you want? He's a little bit older than me. He knew I wanted something. Everybody wants something. And I said, man, look, I just want to be in the environment. I'm very ambitious. At the time I was worth, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe $100, $200 million. But I was ambitious, and I wanted to level up. And I'm like, I don't really know what I want from you. I don't want any money. I don't want you to pay for my room. I had a small plane at the time. I'm like, I don't need you to pay for the fuel. I'm happy just to be in the environment. I said, but if I did want one thing, okay, I know you're worth $4 billion. I would love to see, I don't want anything, but I would love to see what that much money looks like in an account. And he's like, sure, man, no problem. Super cool, dude. He's like, here's my accounts. He told Aaron, open them up, open up his accounts, open it up. And I saw $434 million sitting in one account. That was a life-changing thing for me. One account with $434 million. That was such an experience for me to be like, oh, it's real. Somebody can actually accumulate this much money. I had never seen that. I had done fairly well for myself, but I had never seen that much money in one account. And then I'm like, there's 4 of these. There's 4 billion. This guy's got 4 bricks. And I'm watching one account with 400. I open up, I see another one. I think it was at Merrill Lynch, $600 million. Okay. Between stocks, cash, money markets, treasuries, etc. There was no Bitcoin in there, by the way. And this was my pre-Bitcoin awakening. And so for me to go to him today and say, hey, Bob, you ought to buy Bitcoin. He'd be like, yeah, I've heard about it, And the guy's worth $17 billion today. In just the last 7 or 8 years, he's gone from 4 billion to 17 and had a divorce that cost him half. So he went from 4 to 2 all the way up to 17 without any Bitcoin. You understand the problem here? Okay. Now, I offer Bob my real estate deals. He's like, yeah, they're cool, bro. But yeah, I couldn't orange pill him into my real estate deals. Why? Because it's not his lane. Okay. I spent some time, 2 or 3 days showing him my real estate projects. He was very like, oh, wow, that's cool. But he never invested in them. I showed him real estate and Bitcoin combined. And in 5 minutes, he wrote me a check for $15 million. Okay. When I put the two together as a hybrid.
That's what you're doing now. Bitcoin and real estate.
That's what I'm doing now. The same guy that never invested with me, and this guy loves me like a brother, like he believes in me. He knows I'm legit. He's seen inside my life and my businesses. He knows where I'm at financially. I mean, he intimately knows who I am, not like some of the people on YouTube that pretend to know who I am. This guy's watched the last 12 years of my life, okay? And he's watched me go from 50 million to where I'm at today and watched all the moves and heard about them intimately. And so he's never invested. My point is he's never invested in my real estate deals. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we never talked about Bitcoin ever. The moment I put real estate and Bitcoin together, as soon as I showed him that model, he's like, wait a minute, you're going to do this? I said, no, I've already done it. I bought basically a $72 million property in Melbourne, Florida. I added $15 million of Bitcoin to it. Okay, we put it in one LLC, fused the two together, not literally, but we fused the two together for the partners. The partners now invest in this LLC that controls both the real estate. They get paid off the real estate and the Bitcoin. I showed him that. He's like, I'll put $15 million in that deal. And he said, you need to do 10 of those as fast as you possibly can and take 10 public. He told me this in January of this year. Now, why am I telling you all that? Because I didn't explain Bitcoin to him any more than the person that introduced him to Tesla for the first time. Okay. If you were introduced to Tesla, you didn't read about Tesla first. You didn't study Tesla. Probably somebody picked you up in an Uber in Tesla, or a buddy picked you up. I know my first experience to Tesla was Brandon Williams picked me up in Malibu in his Tesla. Okay, I got in the passenger seat, saw the big freaking iPad or whatever that is on the board. He hit the accelerator, slung me to the back of the car, bro. And I'm like, God damn, what is this? That was my introduction to Tesla, not an explanation. So my point is to all the Bitcoiners, you guys are not, you admit to the public that you're terrible at orange pilling people. Guess why? Because nobody wants an education. Okay? You don't buy food or clothes like that. I see some clothes. I'm like, how's that going to look on me? I buy the jacket. I don't know what it's made of, man. Okay. You pitch some drink or something on Instagram and I'm like, oh, she's hot. He's hot. She drinks that. I'm going to drink that. I don't know what's in it, bruh. But the Bitcoiners think that I have to get educated. Okay. It's ridiculous. This is crazy. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars sitting in money markets, and no one knows what protects them. There's $38 trillion sitting in in mutual funds right now. Nobody knows what protects those mutual funds. Most people don't even know what they're invested in. So I don't know why the Bitcoin community thinks that I need an education in order to buy Bitcoin. I own a bunch of Bitcoin today, and I know less than most people and have studied it less than most people and know a lot less than most people. I just know this. I want as many units as I can get.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. You say that, people don't necessarily need to read the white paper or need to understand every nook and cranny of what Bitcoin is to be interested in it, and especially the way you're doing it with real estate and Bitcoin. But I'm trying to understand more your Bitcoin investors thesis. I listened to Michael Saylor talk, a billionaire, and he can talk about anything about Bitcoin, but he says, Bitcoin's revolutionary aspect isn't in transferring value from here to, China. It's transferring Bitcoin from today to, 100 years from now. Or I hear Larry Fink talk about it from BlackRock, and he goes, I think Bitcoin's a currency of fear. I think it is kind of an alternative asset. Just in a sentence or two, like, what is Bitcoin to you?
Well, Bitcoin for me is it's an opportunity for me to convert money to something better than money, right? Look, if you're married and you have kids, you know that all cash ends up with them, not you. So if you have two kids, bro, and you got a wife, whatever cash you have is going to get converted to them. They're going to steal it from you before the government does. So, if I have a stack, you remember the movie Casino?
Love it.
Where the chick walks in, I forget who that was, hot chick walks into De Niro. What was that? Who was the hot chick?
My mom's one of her favorite actresses, but I'm blanking right now.
Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone, yeah.
Sharon walks in and says, I think it was Sharon Stone. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you guys can throw it in the chat or throw in the comments who the chick was. I need this much. That's how she measured. Oh, yeah. She measured in stacks. My wife still does that to me. I need this much, So if you keep cash, that's what's going to happen to it. You see, my wife can't get to the Bitcoin. Okay, she just cannot get to. She don't have the password. But seriously, what Bitcoin does for me is when I combine the two together, I end up with a business that I couldn't have created. Because basically I'm taking a yin and a yang and making a business out of it. So Bitcoin is most interesting to me because I can take an illiquid asset like real estate. It's very illiquid, okay? Very difficult to move, difficult to steal, difficult to replace, very limited in quantity for the most parts, okay? You can never have another one built in that location. This building that I'm in right now is one of a kind, one location. I'm in it right now. I'm using it, but it's extremely illiquid. I can't easily sell it. I mean, it took 9 months for this transaction to close. I bought this building, but I tracked it for 3 or 4 years to buy it. And it's only traded twice in its life. Okay, so it's very illiquid. Now, when I add Bitcoin on top of the building and I mix the two together, I have an illiquid and a liquid. Okay, you got chemistry, business chemistry happening now. Now, this is similar to what Saylor did. Not similar at all to what Larry Fink is doing. Larry Fink will sell anything. He would sell condoms if it made him money. He's probably invested in a condom business. Okay, he don't care. Okay, Mike Saylor actually cares. So Mike took his software company, didn't like the growth projections of it, didn't like all the competition surrounding him. He's like, hey, how do I make my company more competitive? Oh, I'll add Bitcoin. And he just got there first and stacked and racked faster than anybody else could and got there sooner. How do I make my real estate competitive? Oh, I'm going to add Bitcoin to my real estate. We just bought a $235 million project in Boca Raton. We put $140 million of debt on the project. We paid cash for the $100 million remaining and then raised another $100 million and bought and added Bitcoin to the project. So I have the largest asset for sale in Boca Raton, best in class, trophy asset, best location possible, 336 units that could be converted to condos and sold off for almost $500 million. And I added $100 million of Bitcoin to the purchase so the Bitcoin can go up, the real estate can go up. I don't want to sell one of them. I don't want to sell any of them. I want to take them to the public markets and get a premium for fusing enough of these together as real estate and Bitcoin until real estate can be put on the blockchain, which I don't believe it ever will be, by the way.
Not the titles, not the paperwork.
There's no reason for it, dude. What's the benefit?
I guess, trading 24/7, open public ledger. Where
you're never going to trade a piece of real estate 24/7.
Yeah, true. I mean, you still have to go through the normal paperwork, I guess, right?
It's never going to happen where you can buy my position in my real estate unless it's shares, which we will be a public company by the end of the year where you can trade the shares of Cardone Capital's public real estate Bitcoin hybrid. You'll be able to trade shares in that. But there's no reason for the title of a property to sit on a blockchain.
That's okay. Interesting opinion.
And I don't think that there's any reason for my insurance to be there. It could be, maybe, but none of that's happening right now. If I wait for that to happen, I won't figure out a way to fuse the two together.
Let me ask you this, Grant, and I know you're giving me great nuanced answers about Bitcoin and real estate. So I hate to, ask you such a, this or that question, but we're having fun on the interview.
Yeah, dude, go ahead. You can ask me anything, man.
I know the answer. I know what the answer would be if I asked your brother Gary, but I want to hear what and please be honest.
Yeah.
Would you rather own one skyscraper in Miami or 1,000 Bitcoin? I know you want to own both, and what you're doing is combining both. But if you could only choose one skyscraper in Miami,
it depends. It depends on what I'm doing, right? It depends on what I'm doing. Like, how big's the skyscraper? And look, I want the one that makes me the most money.
So let's say it's an equivalent amount of Bitcoin versus skyscraper at market price today.
I mean, look, I got a lot of real estate. It's just hard for me to answer that question. I already have a lot of real estate, right?
So would you choose the Bitcoin? Yeah. What's stopping you from saying I'd choose Bitcoin?
What's stopping me from saying that is I don't have to have one or the other. I can do both, right? So now, if you ask me, would you want gold? No, I don't want gold. I don't want silver, and I don't want somebody else's stock. I want my own stock. Mm-hmm. I don't own any stocks. I mean, I own 2 stocks. I out of $1.7 billion in net worth, I own 2 stocks. Like that is less than, I don't know, $2 or $3 million. I own a bunch of Bitcoin, and I own a shitload of real estate. Mm-hmm. I don't need to make a decision to only own the real estate. If you said right now, Grant, you have 5 seconds, 1,000 Bitcoin, which is worth what today? How much is that?
I mean, Bitcoin's like 114, so
that's $1 billion. Yeah, I'll take the fucking $1 billion right now, bro.
Mm-hmm. $1 billion
right?
in Bitcoin. Interesting. You went
to
for
give me $1 billion in Bitcoin right now. I have 5 seconds to make a decision. $1 billion of Bitcoin or $1 billion of real estate. I'll take the Bitcoin right now. Why? I don't have to do a title. I don't have to do an appraisal. I don't have to do a survey. I don't have to go through the banks. I don't have to get a loan. Like if you're just going to give it to me, it doesn't come with termites, tenants, evictions, the government, taxes, bullshit, yeah, I'd take the Bitcoin in a heartbeat.
Interesting. I mean, you're making the case right now, and thank you for doing it. Bitcoin over real estate. You know, there's liability with real estate. And I'm not here to say real estate's a bad investment. Obviously, real estate's a great investment. But if you had to choose, I'm forcing you to make the case for Bitcoin. But I know that the reason, maybe a hesitation of yours, maybe the same thing as gold. You say, I don't own any gold. You've built an
But
empire.
let me just say this to you. Now that I'm thinking it through, okay, Aaron, if
Yes.
you gave me $1 billion project, because now I'm rethinking this shit, okay? Because this is a cool thing that you do. There should be more shows just like this, where you put people in a situation where they have to make a decision. I actually made the wrong decision, because what I could have done, now people are going to say I could do the other thing in reverse. I could have taken the title to the real estate, and if it's truly worth $1 billion, the next day I could go to Fannie Mae and get a $600 million loan. By the way, it would still cash flow. I'd have $400 million of equity still in the building. I'd get a loan for $600 million, a $600 million check, and I could buy $600 million worth of Bitcoin the next day. So unfortunately, because I ended up with only one. And by the way, I would have ended up with about $400 million of tax write-offs, because you gave me the building, and that building comes with accelerated depreciation, because Donald, the great one, Trump, is our president, and he passed the accelerated depreciation. So I would also be able to get $400 million of depreciation. I could get $600 million worth of debt on the deal that would cash flow positive and service the debt on the building. I would now have, probably on a building like you're describing, probably 6 or 7% cash flow a year, $28 million a year in free cash flow. And I would end up with the $600 million worth of Bitcoin. So I'm going to have to shoot myself in the head right now and say, no, I wouldn't take the Bitcoin. I'm going back to the building.
And that's the billionaire mindset. That's the billionaire mindset. And, you know, something I appreciate with you and your brother when I interview you both is I feel like you guys really, you know, listen and really think about the question and give thoughtful responses. Both of you do that. Maybe that's why you guys are both very successful. But my question to you is this. You know, because I know that you're a big hard asset guy, but you're a hard asset guy that produces cash flow. You were never interested in gold. Now, Bitcoin is digital gold. How do you reconcile that the Bitcoin doesn't have any cash flow, but yet you're still interested?
Because I have plenty of cash flow. I already have a lot of cash flow. I have 4 other businesses that cash flow. I have 6,000 apartments that I own, and I've owned for 12 years, that cash flow like little pigs. They just oink all over me every month. On the 15th of the month, I get dumped cash flow. I've owned it for 13 years. I mean, the rents went from $600 and $700 a month to $2,000. So when you understand rental property, as rents go up over long periods of time. I mean, this is what the Bitcoin guys don't understand, maybe, or don't talk about. When you own real estate for long periods of time, bro, like I bought 1,100 units and the rents were 700 at the time. I bought them in 2012. Those rents are 1,900 today. They went up 800 times, 1,100 units times 12. That's $10 million in new income a year, every year. Okay. Now, if I divide that by 0.06, it's $176 million of new value, and I didn't do anything. All I did was buy the real estate. I've never been back to the real estate. We bought it, closed on it, named it 10X. We basically changed the name of the property. If it was called Stewart Breeze, we called it 10X Stewart Breeze. I basically added 3 letters to it, managed by Cardone Capital. We made a decision to purchase it, negotiated it, got them to award us the deal. I've owned that deal for going on 13 years now. I've refinanced that property 3 times. I've taken out over $100 million. I paid $58 million. I've taken $100 million of new money out, got all my money back, and 100, and none of that's a taxable event. And I wrote off the property $40 million over the last 10 years. And it cash flowed $1 million a month. for the last 7 years. Real estate, I mean, Bitcoin doesn't do any of that. Doesn't do the cash flow, don't get the tax write-offs. Now, do I wish I would have had Bitcoin? Bro, I wish I'd have taken that $1 million of free cash flow I had every month and converted it to Bitcoin. But I didn't know what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, because I know the audience is going to be spamming this in the comment section, what is your Bitcoin price prediction?
Oh, you want a price prediction?
Well, why not? You're an investor, right?
Yeah, I bought it last Friday. I bought it 2 Fridays ago on Flash Crash at 108. I bought 200 pieces that day, and I bought 300 pieces the next week at 108. I bought it at 93,000, 105, 75. I bought a shitload at 75. I was giving it at 500. I think my price prediction is more. I think we could get to 160 before the end of the year. And I think that $1 million is easily attainable in the next 5 years, maybe sooner.
5 years.
I could see it there at 3 years.
Interesting. I like that. Let me ask you this, Grant.
What is your price prediction?
I mean, I've certainly drank the Kool-Aid, obviously. I'm a believer. I've been, since Bitcoin was under 60K a year or so ago, I've been saying I think Bitcoin could hit 150K this year. And now that we're closing in on the year, I think we could get 150K. I think Bitcoin, very conservative, like Bitcoin clears at least this price by 2030, which is in 5 years. I think we at least get to 500,000 Bitcoin. And that's like my base to bear case is $500,000. And then, like I said, I've drank the Kool-Aid, so you can't get more bullish, than me just thinking out forward in the future. But as far as time, I'm not sure. But I think, 500K by 2030, I think is attainable.
Yeah.
And then this is what I wanted to ask you about and let me, ultimately my question is, and I'm going to preface this a little bit, but ultimately my question is, what do you think about Ethereum? But let me preface this because I love the fact that you're not.
I can't really help you here, man.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, because I love the fact you're not a maxi.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a big fan of the Trumps. And the Trumps, I had the pleasure of interviewing your brother in Bitcoin 2024 on the main stage. I had the pleasure I did such a good job with Gary. They let me interview Eric and Don Jr. In 2025. And backstage, they were telling me, obviously they're huge Bitcoin believers, but they also say the Trump family owns a lot of Ethereum. We love Ethereum as well. When you see the Trump family coming out and saying that, does it make you think maybe I should look into it?
No, because I can't. I mean, it's cool, but I just can't learn about everything fast enough, right? Also, look, I'm not a Trump. I had Eric was here last week. We were talking about, he was here Friday, and we were talking about ABTC, sorry, and HUD 8. Dude, I'm not a Trump, bro. Like, I don't have access like the Trumps have. You don't know if somebody might have given him 1 million Ethereum. Somebody give me enough Ethereum, I might start checking into it. So you're a Trump, you're going to get all kind of stuff. I don't have hotels in the Middle East either. So there's a whole lot of, he doesn't buy apartments.
Sure.
He builds everything. He's not interested in doing what I do. I can't do what they do.
And again, we know that the cryptocurrency market is, full of, tech plays that, 90% could go to zero and just like maybe bad ideas.
Yeah, you mean the DATs?
Oh, I mean, even if we're talking about digital asset treasuries. Your thoughts?
You talking about the treasury companies?
Sure. I mean, Michael Saylor's the biggest one.
I think there's going to be a massive implosion of treasury companies. Mm-hmm. It is one of my biggest concerns. I asked Michael this question at a family office meeting I was at in Greenwich. And he's like, I said, Michael, you concerned that there's too many treasury companies? And he was like, I want them all to come in. Like, I want them, but I'm like, but he didn't really answer my question. He answered the question about Google and Apple and Microsoft adding Bitcoin to their treasury. That was not my question. My question was all these other companies that are copying what Michael Saylor did. I'm one of those, by the way. I am similar to that because I am copying what Michael did. And so I'm saying I think there's probably a couple hundred guys right now trying to take their company or no company. The ones I'm worried about is the no company, the no business, the no accounts receivables, the no customers, the no service, the no product. And all you're going to do is add, you're going to have, going to buy some shell. You're going to add you're going to raise money in a pipe. You're going to sell shares on the ATM in order to buy Bitcoin and think that this is going to give you some kind of pendulum. Yeah, that shit ain't going to happen, bro. That's going to be the biggest implosion. It is my biggest concern for Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price short term is that we're going to have an implosion of these companies. Now, in my case, how am I different? I already own the real estate. I'm going to contribute $4 billion or $1 billion of my own real estate, another $1.6 billion of my investors, $300 million worth of Bitcoin. We're going to go public with that entity. I have $125 million of EBITDA in year one. Most of these companies won't have $125 million of EBITDA. You could put them all together and they won't have that because there's no real company there. There's the illusion of a company. And, I hope Bitcoin goes up.
Do you think MicroStrategy is okay? You're talking about all the copycats that are maybe less.
Well, I mean, I think they're fine.
You think
they're fine because of how much Bitcoin they have, dude. You're so far ahead of the race. You're a bank.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even what you were. He has transitioned from being one thing to being a behemoth.
Mm-hmm.
He's a goddamn monopoly is what he is.
Sure. So you're bullish on strategy. You think it'll be around?
I don't own any strategy.
What are the two stocks?
I don't own Stripe or Strike either, though. But
your two stocks that you like are
the two stocks that I own. Okay, I don't want to say I have a relationship with both of the stocks that I own.
Okay. Prefer to keep it under wraps because you don't want to, you're biased.
They're friends of mine, right? So I invested in their companies because I believe in them.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't own any stock. Okay. Now we're going to take my little real estate Bitcoin, my little idea. We're going to take it public here in the next probably 6 weeks. There'll be an announcement.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm going to own. I'm going to end up with like 600 million shares of stock, and my goal is to drive that stock up $2 each day.
Mm-hmm.
Because every $2 is going to be a brick.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just to, finish up on my question about Ethereum, we're not going to talk about it, but like just the only reason I brought it up is because I was, it's not the same thing as Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin's on a different level, but the only reason I would bring it up is because, Ethereum is cash producing. And you can do stuff with it. And now that Tom Lee's involved, I just wonder if you think.
Yeah, I just don't look. I just don't. I mean, I wish I could contribute something to the conversation. I'm just, admittedly, I can't help your conversation when it comes to Ripple, the altcoins.
Wasn't asking about those, just Ethereum specifically.
ETH. I can't. I just don't have anything to offer. Understood.
And I've asked your brother plenty of times, and he always goes,
"I'm an Igmo, bro." I admit that I was telling Eric this other day. I said, look, man, I don't know. Like, I know what I don't know. I don't, there's most of the things I am completely ignorant about. And the things that I don't know anything about, I'm going to miss out on. And I'm fine with that. And the things that I know about, bro, I'm going to go hard on. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go heavy. I'm going to go deep, and I'm going to go forever.
Sure. And, when I asked your brother, he would say, F Ethereum, it's Bitcoin, baby. So just wanted to ask you, Grant, I appreciate you being so generous with your time today. I'm going to let you go. But just my final question, maybe a little selfish because it's about, what I do, a media company. We are Altcoin Daily is the largest US crypto YouTube channel, top 3 in the world. And that's not good enough for me, Grant. I want to get bigger. And I know that you're a media legend. Like you've started from nobody knowing who you were to now everybody knows who you are. So if you had to give some advice on, just building your media empire, please, help me out. What would you tell me?
What would I tell you? I would tell you, how many shows you do a month?
We do one every day.
You won't be able to do that forever, but that's cool. I would tell you that we need to improve the branding. You need, like, look at this, dude. Like, see, I don't go anywhere without rocking the brand, dog. Okay, what does it say behind me?
You tell me.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Let your audience guess. By the way, I want you guys to, the first person that can figure out what it says in the back and you throw it in comments, I'm going to give you 100,000 Satoshis.
Really? You're going to check the comments? How?
No, you are. And you're going to tell me who I owe them to. And it'll probably be to you.
Oh,
Okay. I'll take it off that money you gave me.
sure.
But that'll get your comments working, right? Okay.
Sure.
Now I would just tell you, like, you got to figure out how not to get the views are cool and everything, bro. But what you need to get is you need to get shares in here. And I would try to figure out how to get probably more drama in the show somehow. I like that thing you did with me, by the way, putting people on the spot. That was cool. And if you want to be bigger, dude, you're going to have to open up the audience. I told my brother this. I said, bro, you know, if you want to be big on Spaces, you have to do shows about more than just Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's a tiny audience, bro. And it's not going to get bigger for a while.
Sure.
And you know, you should be covering more topics. Now it's hard because you're in transition, right? You're trying to groove a niche right now. Everybody's going to tell you the riches are in the niches, man. Be great at one thing. Yeah. But remember, man, life, you know,
we got to 1 million subscribers on this niche, but now it's time to think about expanding.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But they're not going to share it with people that, like, it's not going to get shared. It's not going to get shared enough. Okay. Now here's the other thing. For you to actually make the transition, this is what I was saying earlier. I don't think you got it, but when I said, look, when you go from 0 to $1 million, the transition to 10 is very difficult because the million is so seductive. This is the problem with living in LA. You guys, you're seduced by this 70-degree weather and these beautiful skies. So you're willing to take stupid shit happening to you every day on a regular for long periods of time, by the way. You get fucked over and you're like, yeah, but that's what we pay for. Y'all even have that saying. Y'all all have this mutual mass agreement. That's what we pay for. Fuck, it's so beautiful here. We don't mind it being a Diddy party every day.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so so for you to make that transition to that next audience, dude, you got to figure out how to add some other, like my real estate deal. 99% of people on planet Earth understand real estate. They don't understand the Bitcoin. So I lead with the real estate and I sprinkle in the Bitcoin. You're leading with the Bitcoin. You need to sprinkle something else in so that you start picking up another audience. So this is what I would tell you to do. I would go expand your audience, reaching out to more successful business people that maybe don't have any exposure. Just start talking to them about legacy business. You're already in the lane. You're in the lane of money. You're not actually you're in a Bitcoin lane, but Bitcoin lane sits on the finance highway. Okay. And then bigger than that is going to be money and survival. And bigger than that's going to be just health. Health is going to be right next to money. Because once you have money, the thing you're most worried about is your health. Then there's going to be relationships. All those, the same group of people travel down this lane. So anything I can do to help you, man, I'm happy to.
Thank you. You're helping me right now by coming on the channel, and that's enough. Happy to have you.
What are you going to do now? What are you going to do for your branding now?
Well, what I heard you say was, come up, grow the brand, come up with a better brand, figure out how to get likes and shares, obviously, but that's, not good enough to, a lot of people rest on their laurels once they hit a certain point.
Yeah.
And so I guess, one of the most practical, doable things that I'm taking away from our conversation is, sprinkle in expansion of, pulling in successful people or notable people that have little to do with Bitcoin and crypto. But, through that, I'm going to expand my brand, get a little piece of their brand. And in that way, that's this growth into not just the niche that I'm in, but to kind of be more broad.
There you go, man. And show up at live events. Keep doing those live events that you've been doing.
Hey, yeah, appreciate that. I'm going to let you go. Thank you again for coming on the channel. Please, take the last couple minutes to give the Altcoin Daily audience any final advice, or please, once again, tell them about what you're doing in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, for the first piece of advice I would give everybody is commit to something big. Okay, you're underestimating what you can do. When I was 23 years old, I just wanted to get out of college with a degree and get a good job. Dude, it was so stupid. It was so stupid what I was thinking about. I don't even know, like, what was I thinking about? What had me thinking that all I could do was get a good job? And then I got a terrible job. Thank God I didn't get the job I wanted. I got a terrible job in car sales. And I hated that fucking job. And then I said, okay, I can't hate this job, because if I hate this job, I'm never going to get better at it. And there was no other jobs. So I figured out how to get good at it. And then it became a career. I went from hating a job to becoming like one of the most renowned authorities on sales in the 21st century. And then they started paying me a bunch of money, bro. And then I got comfortable. I was making a couple $1,000,000 a year thinking I'm the shit. I'm 30 years old, 31 years old. I'm like, I'm the shit, bro. I lived in La Jolla, California, comfortable, single, had a house on the beach. It was a freaking it was a little pussy cave, man. It was like you couldn't walk, you couldn't go to that place and not throw down. Like it was magic. And then one day I got sick of that, dude. I got sick and tired of playing golf 3 times a week and making a couple million, and said, okay, I'm gonna grow up now. I'm gonna get a family, and I'm gonna become a real businessman. And I had to give up that life and that business and that house, and I had to give all that shit up, dude. Moved to LA and built a real business, and started buying real estate. Had 3 companies, had 2 consulting companies and a real estate company, and then did that for like 4 or 5 years. Got really good at it. I was making $7-8 million a year, making a shitload of money. I didn't know what to do with all that money, and got comfortable again. And then, I knew I had to change, but I didn't. And then 2008 came and said, hey, how about we give you some reasons to change? And then social media came along, and I was 52 years old, and I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to use social media. I was 52 years old, bro. I didn't even know how to start a Facebook page. And that was, I'm doing videos on my camera. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to edit shit. I don't know lighting, nothing. There was no mics. This is 15 years ago. I had no clue what I was doing. And then we built 20 million followers. I mean, in the last 12 years, I just, all I'm saying to everybody is, whatever you think you can do is a tiny fraction of what you can do. You're underestimating what you can do. That's what I would tell everybody. And the other thing is this, what I'm going to do with our real estate Bitcoin fund. I'll take that thing public this year. I'll become a publicly traded company. Another thing, I was thinking too small, thinking I had to be private forever. And we'll be a publicly traded real estate fund. We'll go from being worth $5 billion. My goal is to be $100 billion real estate portfolio and be the largest real estate Bitcoin fund on the planet. And literally start a new industry around real estate and Bitcoin investing. And who knows, maybe in the future that'll include ETH. And
no pressure, no pressure.
Don't put any pressure on me, bro. Because pressure makes diamonds, man.
Sure. Nobody handles pressure better than you, Grant. But I'll let you go, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're the best, dude. You're the best.
You're the best, man. Thank you so much.
If you move to Florida, bro, you save 13.3%, right?
You know what? I'm going to come to Florida sometime, and Gary has invited me to play in his high roller poker game. So maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah. He won't let me play.
Oh, really?
No, he won't let me play because he knows I know his tricks.
Ah, yeah, for sure.
He's
Same with
tricky,
me and my
Ricky,
brother.
dude.
Is he? I've never played with him yet, so
he'll give you an enema, bro, right there in public.
Okay. But anyways, thank you so much, Grant.
Okay, peace, man. Be good.
Peace.